the turning point that separates winners from everyone else. This moment doesn't look important when it happens. There's no music swelling, no dramatic speech, no crowd watching. In fact, if someone filmed it, you probably wouldn't click. But years later, when people try to explain why one person made it and another didn't, this is the moment they are really talking about. They just don't know it. Welcome to HistoryMaker Stories. This channel isn't about quick wins or loud success. It's about the long road, the quiet decisions, the turning points that don't announce themselves but change everything. Today's story is about one of those moments, the kind that separates winners from everyone else. The myth of the big moment. Most people think success comes down to a big break. The call, the deal, the viral moment, the lucky connection. We love that story because it's clean, it's exciting, and it lets us believe that nothing really counts until something dramatic happens. But history doesn't actually work that way. If you look closely at people who built something lasting, you notice something uncomfortable. Their biggest turning point wasn't big at all. It was boring. It was lonely. And at the time, it felt optional. That's important, because optional moments are where most people quietly opt out. We're wired to notice drama. The resignation letter, the investment that changed everything, the partnership that launched a career. Those moments make good stories, but they're rarely the real turning point. The real turning point happened earlier, in private, without witnesses, without any guarantee it mattered. It was a decision to keep going when nothing suggested it would work. That's a moment history remembers, even if nobody was watching. The decision no one claps for. Here's a pattern. Something doesn't work. Progress slows. The excitement fades. This is where the crowd thins out. Not because people are lazy, but because motivation runs on feedback, and feedback just disappeared. No likes, no praise, no visible progress. And then comes a decision. Not a public one, not a dramatic one, a private decision. Do I keep going even though this isn't rewarding anymore? Do I stick with this even if no one notices? Do I do the work when there's no guarantee it will pay off? This is a turning point, and most people don't even realize they are standing in it, because it doesn't feel significant. It feels like another Tuesday. You wake up, the work is still there, the results still aren't, and you make a choice. Not once, every day. Keep going or don't. That choice becomes a dividing line. Not talent, not luck, not connections. Just that quiet choice, made repeatedly, without fanfare, without proof it matters. Why most people walk away here? Let's be honest. Walking away feels reasonable. You can explain it. You can justify it. You can even sound mature doing it. I'm being realistic. I need to focus on something else. Maybe this just isn't for me. And sometimes, yes, quitting is a right move, but often something else is happening. The work stopped giving emotional rewards. And without those rewards, commitment feels heavier than it really is. This is where winners and everyone else start living different lives. Not because one group is smarter, but because one group understands something subtle. Emotion is a terrible compass for long-term decisions. Feelings change hourly. Motivation ebbs and flows. Enthusiasm has a shelf life. If you only work when it feels good, you'll stop working right when it starts to matter. Because meaningful work gets harder before it gets easier. It demands more as you go deeper. It requires focus when distractions multiply. It asks for consistency when novelty wears off. Most people interpret that difficulty as a sign they are on the wrong path. Winners interpret it differently. They see difficulty as proof they're getting closer. Winners don't feel certain either. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The people who keep going don't feel confident. They don't feel special. They don't feel sure. They feel tired. They feel doubtful. They feel unseen. But they make a quiet trade. They trade short-term comfort for long-term clarity. They accept that uncertainty is the price of staying in the game. And over time, that choice compounds. This is what people miss when they study successful people. They look for the secret, the mindset hack, the special belief system. But winners don't have access to secret information. They just have a higher tolerance for not knowing. They can sit in the discomfort of uncertainty without needing to resolve it immediately. They can work without confirmation that it's working. They can invest time without a guaranteed return. That's not confidence. That's discipline. And discipline looks boring from the outside, but it's the only thing that survives when motivation disappears. The split you can't see yet. When that decision is made, nothing visibly changes. The bank account looks the same. The audience count stays flat. The calendar still feels empty. From the outside, both paths look identical. The person who quit looks fine. The person who stayed looks stuck. This is why this turning point is so easy to miss. The consequences are delayed. But delayed doesn't mean weak. It means patient. Time is doing work you can't see yet. Skills are compounding. Judgment is forming. Networks are deepening. None of this shows up on a dashboard, but it's real, and it's building infrastructure that will matter later. The person who quit saved themselves discomfort today. The person who stayed invested in leverage tomorrow. 6 months from now, they might still look similar. A year from now, a gap starts forming. 5 years from now, they're living completely different lives. And when people ask what happened, they'll point to some visible moment. A launch, a promotion, a breakthrough. But the real moment was years earlier, when one person stayed and the other didn't. Quiet repetition is a real divider. History isn't changed by one bold move. It's changed by quiet decisions repeated daily. Showing up when it's boring, practicing when no one is watching, improving a skill when it's still invisible. This is where momentum is built. Not fast, but deep, and depth lasts longer than speed. Most people are trained to chase intensity. Winners learn to respect endurance. They understand that intensity burns out. It's exciting for a week, exhausting for a month, unsustainable for a year. But endurance just keeps going. It doesn't need hype. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It just needs commitment. And commitment is built through repetition. Not the exciting kind, the boring kind. Same time, same place, same effort, even when it feels pointless. Especially when it feels pointless, because that's when the real filtering happens. That's when most people leave. And that's when the people who stay start pulling ahead. What this looks like in real life. This turning point shows up everywhere. In careers, when someone keeps learning after promotions stop. In business, when someone keeps refining after the hype dies. In relationships, when someone keeps showing up during the quiet years. In health, when someone sticks to habits long after motivation fades. None of this looks impressive in the moment, but it creates people who are hard to replace. Think about the person in your field who everyone respects. The one people call when something important needs to happen. They didn't get there through talent alone. They got there by staying longer than everyone else. By accumulating knowledge while others were chasing trends. By building relationships while others were networking superficially. By refining their craft while others were declaring themselves experts. They made the unglamorous choice, again and again. And over time, that choice became their competitive advantage. Not because they are better, because they stayed. The invisible advantage. Over time, something interesting happens. The person who stayed starts seeing things others don't. Patterns, shortcuts, leverage. Not because they are smarter, but because time teaches what talent can't. This is the invisible advantage. It can't be faked. It can't be rushed. And it only belongs to people who stayed long enough to earn it. Think about expertise. Real expertise isn't knowledge. It's pattern recognition. It's knowing what matters and what's noise. It's seeing problems before they become crises. It's making decisions faster because you've made them 1,000 times before. That only comes from time. And time only counts if you stay. This is why people who job hop constantly never build deep expertise. They accumulate experiences, sure, but experience without depth is just exposure. It doesn't create judgment. It doesn't create intuition. It doesn't create the kind of knowledge that makes you irreplaceable. Winners understand this instinctively. They are not looking for the next thing. They are committed to going deeper in this thing. And depth creates advantages that breadth never will. Why this moment matters right now. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you're near this turning point. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe results are slower than you expected. Maybe you're questioning whether it's worth it. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you've reached a place where decisions start to matter more than dreams. This is where history quietly selects its builders, not through tests of talent, through tests of endurance. Can you keep going when feedback disappears? Can you stay committed when progress isn't visible? Can you trust the process when you can't see the outcome yet? These aren't rhetorical questions. They are the actual test, and how you answer them determines everything that comes next. Because this moment is a filter. It's designed to separate people who want success from people who will build it. Most people want it. Few are willing to do what it requires. And what it requires isn't dramatic. It's daily. It's showing up. It's doing the work. It's staying committed when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one believes it matters yet. That's a test. And you're taking it right now. The long view. Fast success gets attention. Slow success gets stability. People who rush often collapse under pressure. People who grow slowly learn how to carry weight. This is why history remembers those who lasted, not those who flashed. The turning point isn't about talent. It's about patience, about choosing to stay when leaving would be easier. Think about the people you admire. Not influencers, real builders, people who created something that lasted decades. Almost all of them have the same story. They hit a point where nothing was working, where doubt was overwhelming, where quitting was logical, and they stayed anyway, not because they saw the future, but because they couldn't walk away. Something in them refused to quit. Not confidence, not certainty, just a stubborn commitment to seeing it through. That's what this turning point reveals. Not your talent, your character. And character determines outcomes far more than talent ever will. The cost of leaving too early. Here's what most people don't realize until it's too late. The cost of leaving isn't just what you lose. It's what you never become. When you quit at this turning point, you don't just abandon a project. You abandon the version of yourself that was being built through it. The patience, the resilience, the judgment, all of that gets left behind. And when you start something new, you take the same person with you. The person who quits when it gets hard. That pattern doesn't break on its own. It repeats. Different project, same turning point, same decision. And years later, you look back and realize you've been starting over and over, but you've never finished. Winners understand something crucial. Finishing teaches you things starting never will. It teaches you how to push through resistance. It teaches you how to solve problems you can't Google. It teaches you how to trust yourself when no one else does. Those lessons become your foundation, and you can't build a meaningful life without them. The hidden gift of staying. Here's what people who stay discover. The struggle wasn't wasted. It was the point. Every day you showed up when you didn't feel like it built something, not just a project. You became someone who can be trusted, someone who finishes, someone who doesn't need constant encouragement. That's rare, and rare is valuable. When opportunity finally arrives, it doesn't go to the most talented person in the room. It goes to the most reliable, the person who's proven they can endure, the person who stayed when everyone else left. That's you, if you stay. Closing reflection. That moment you're in right now, the one that feels ordinary, the one that feels thankless, that might be it. The turning point that separates winners from everyone else. Not because it's dramatic, but because it asks something most people aren't willing to give. Time, consistency, faith without applause. And if you can give that, you're already different. You're already rare. You're already on the path that history respects. Even if no one's watching yet. If you value long-term thinking, subscribe. HistoryMaker Stories is for people who understand that real progress is quiet at first. We're just getting started. And if you're still here, so are you.